Hey, how are you? Quick question for you. So I'm flying out tomorrow morning, and I'm wondering if I can upgrade to business class with you now over the phone. I can? Awesome, fantastic. First class? I wasn't considering it, but you know what? Yeah, just put me on first class. Yeah, that'd be great. Cool, thank you.
Welcome back to the Past My Prime YouTube channel. Dustin Prime here. And it's May, so what does that mean? Well, school's starting to get out, colleges are already out, and you know what? It's time for vacation. But should you even go on vacation if you're in like a ton of debt? I mean, I don't think so, but there's a lot of people out there to where when they're swimming in debt, they're still going out and swimming in beaches, going on cruises, going over to other countries, doing bucket list stuff. I don't think I could enjoy myself if I knew I was in such massive debt and then I was still just piling on more, going on vacation and just racking it up. But as we'll see here, like I said, some people just don't care. And whether they're just making excuses or they think they have some sort of plan, there's a lot of reasons why they seem to think that they just need this vacation. So let's get into it and you can be the judge. And starting with this first one, what's some people's favorite thing to do for vacation? Cruises.
September cruise. That's only $500. $500.
Which is huge. It's a substantial amount of money. You have no respect to the dollar. $500 is huge for you. What the fuck are you talking about? $3,800 comes in, right? $3,600. 14% of your money. You say that's nothing? You spend $2,000 more than you bring in on a monthly basis. $500 is nothing? That's just going to be an extra $500 on top of the $2,000 then you spend more on a monthly basis. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's booked.
What's the additional $500?
For what? What are you talking about?
For the booked cruise.
Oh, well,
He's losing
it's not booked. I put a deposit down, and
Then stop!
and I put
What was the deposit?
$100.
Good,
But
you lost it.
I
Walk
booked
away.
an excursion.
I don't care.
For $400.
Oh, you're
refundable.
But you still have to spend $500.
Yes.
Good, you're not going. So you lost $500 instead of $1,000. Well done. Well done.
Perfect example of some of those traps you fall into on a cruise. You've booked it a while back, you think you're all set up, you think you've maybe saved a little bit. In her case, it doesn't seem like she really saved anything. And then you want to take excursions, you want to go drinking. A lot of people's favorite thing to do on a cruise ship is like gamble. And of course, if you're stopping at the different ports and things like that, or you're in a foreign country, you want to go out, buy souvenirs, buy gifts, buy clothes. And I've been on quite a number of cruises when I was like a young adult and, paying for it myself. And I do remember, a lot of the options for excursions and things like that, but they weren't that expensive. She said, that excursion was like $400. That's a lot. But she's already drowning in debt, and so it's like, why is she even doing this? Was she doing this with friends, family? Is this some sort of like reward to herself? But right there, Caleb's trying to give her the reality check. She cannot afford this. And so, you put down a deposit of $100, but you're probably gonna spend way, way, way more than that. It's time to cut your losses. And he's really trying to hammer home that fact. Just, okay, the $100, it's gone, forget about it. But no, people feel like they're locked in, they gotta go. And that's gonna lead to way more spending. And so what's another one besides cruises that can get really costly? Disney. And you can rack up thousands at Disney in just like a day or two.
Listen, I love Disney and Disney World as much as the next person. Some of you don't like that I like it, but I do. But this survey came out, you guys, 45% of families are going into debt to go to Disney. Now listen,
Disney.
Here's the thing. It is not a rite of passage into humanity to go to Disney World. But as parents, that's what we kind of tend to believe. It's like Disney World is like this thing you have to do. Now,
Yeah,
is it
it
great
feels
and is
forced.
it fun? Absolutely. But save up and pay cash. Do not go financially backwards to go to Disney World, okay? It is not worth the stress. It is not worth the lack of sleep that you're going to have to be thinking about this bill that you're going to be paying for months and months and months. Instead, be proactive. Save. If you want to go, that's great. Just have a plan and say, hey, we're going to save up X amount per month in order to do this trip. But with vacations, regardless, you guys, the best ones are the ones that don't follow you home in the form of a bill.
Yeah.
So save up and pay cash and enjoy Mickey that way. It may take you a little longer, but that's okay.
I totally agree with her there that it does feel like going to Disney with like your young kids is some sort of like rite of passage. When me and my wife were first together, we had just got married, we hadn't had our daughter yet, We would see other parents at Disney and be like, man, I can't believe they're bringing their kid to Disney at that age. They're not even going to remember it. But then everything changed when we had our daughter, and it was like, she's little, she likes the movies, she likes the characters. Oh, we got to go to Disney. Luckily enough for us, my in-laws like really wanted to go with us, and so they got us passes and so we could go. And they really enjoyed it, so it was kind of like a gift to them almost. But yes, the prices for tickets for Disney have gotten atrocious, and passes are insane too. So whether you're doing like a 1 day, a 2 day, or you're doing annual passes or semi-annual passes or whatever, they can be like thousands and thousands of dollars just for the entry. And you know, once you get in there, especially if you have young kids, there's gonna be so much stuff that they want, you know, souvenirs, clothes, figures, plushies, and you know, the crazy prices you're gonna be paying for food. So yeah, a lot of parents getting trapped in that feeling that they have to go to Disney. I can see how they would do it and then just think, okay, well, I'll go into a bit of debt for this. But yeah, not worth it. That stress is gonna be crazy. And you know, if it's like your kid's first time there, it's kind of hard to say no to a lot of things sometimes. And another thing, for a lot of people who don't live like in the Central Florida area or in like Anaheim area in California, they're gonna have to stay at a hotel or somewhere, and the prices of the Disney hotel are insane. And in my opinion, what you get at the Disney hotels, I don't think is comparable for what you pay. I mean, look what just happened with that Star Wars hotel, like the Galactic Cruiser, whatever it's called. The rooms themselves, you know, being all themed Star Wars, they came out right around the time when Star Wars was so hyped up with the movies ending, all the different shows coming out on like Netflix and things like that. They have these hotel rooms for like $3,000, $4,000, and they could not get them filled. Even like diehard Disney fans and Star Wars fans were like, there's no way I'm spending that much to be in here. And what happened? Well, that hotel didn't make it. So yeah, go to Disney if you have the money. The debt isn't worth it. So besides a Disney or a crazy cruise, you know, a lot of people want to take a road trip or go out to see friends, you know, in another state or something like that. And of course, a lot of times, the places where people always want to go are always the most expensive. So hey babe, let's go to California and let's just put it on the credit card.
Why are we in credit card debt?
When I took this job, we had just taken a vacation to California for like a month long.
What, 2 years
A
ago?
month long in
Yeah,
California.
Month-long vacation. That's a long
2022,
vacation.
Yeah, we spent like $20,000.
On a vacation?
Yeah, I know, it was.
You guys are acting like you're like multi-millionaires. $20,000 a vacation. I couldn't even imagine $20,000 on a
was a
vacation.
very
Could hardly
fun
imagine $2,000 on a vacation.
And so,
What are you doing? How do you spend $20,000 on a vacation? What do you do $20,000?
It's whenever you take your family with you. And,
What family? Everyone? Everyone in the world? The whole extended?
we took my brother-in-law, so his brother, and then we took my.
What, is he
son.
not a big boy? He can't pay for himself?
He wasn't working at the time.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was.
that would have been smart.
Maybe he doesn't get to go on a vacation then.
Probably would have been a smart decision. And then.
Are you saying all the credit card debt I have is because you went on a stupid vacation?
No.
Okay, then
That
what
started-
happened? Why do we have debt?
So when we got back, I accepted this job, and I got nervous that what my income was going to look like, because at first I was supposed to take a pay cut hourly, but I actually never did. But I can't. I used to be able to increase my income by working extra shifts. I could
Sure.
pick up a shift and make
There shouldn't be an issue.
$1,000.
Your income is good.
Going to California and spending $20,000 and being there for a month. And what's worse, it wasn't even just like her and her husband and maybe the kids. It said you brought in their brother-in-law and just totally paid for his whole vacation. I mean, it's great to do those types of things for your family, but if you're already in crazy debt, maybe that's not the best idea to do a gesture like that. And of course, with the way prices have gotten in places like California and New York, and it's starting to happen in Florida, these vacation destinations are just going to be so much more expensive than the areas where people are living and what they're used to. I mean, like for example, you could go to like a club in Orlando and, you know, maybe you're spending like $8, $10, maybe like $15 for a drink. And if you're on like vacation, you go down to clubs in like Miami, and some of those clubs you can be paying like $45, $50, $60 a drink. And that's the thing, people get in this baller lifestyle where they want to go out on vacations and, you know, just like really live it up, and they just let the spending run wild. And like she said, they brought a family member, the brother-in-law, and just paid for his whole trip. It seems like there's a lot of that where people get suckered into paying for their whole family, whether it be because guilt or some other reason. And that can just be devastating. And I love these clips from Caleb because he just grills them.
How much did you spend in the Philippines?
Well, half of what we spend here, so that's great.
How much did you spend?
Like $3,000.
Are you sure?
The flights alone were like $3,000.
Then you spent more. You're
Really?
purchasing on a Credit One card? Why purchase on this card?
Because we paid for everybody in the Philippines.
Who's everybody?
My whole family, all 23 of us.
You paid for all of them?
Yes, because it's
Why?
it's what you do when you go home to a third world country. You're the one in America. You're rich, so you go home and pay for everybody's meals and drinks and vacations.
This doesn't make any sense. You guys were already in a stack of debt.
Damn, that's crazy. Paying for 23 family members for part of that vacation. So it sounds like she spent the $3,000 to get like her and maybe a couple other member of family over there to the Philippines. But then as soon as she starts seeing these family members that, you know, she hasn't seen in a long time, they still live back in her like home country, she feels that guilt that she just has to, you know, spend and pay for everything while she's there. And you do see that with a lot of people who are younger, living in America, and they do have family members back in other countries that live back at home. And a lot of them will say, and we've seen in some videos where they say, yeah, they send money every week, every month back home to their parents or their family members so that they can turn those US dollars into like a lot more spending power. And I mean, that's a totally different subject, but eventually you can see how that guilt and that type of spending could just put someone in a ton of debt. So yeah, you already spent $3,000, come back, 23 members of the family, you're gonna be buying all the drinks, buying all the dinners. You're probably going to want to go out and do stuff, and so you're going to bring all the family members while you're back there in the country, and before you know it, you're just way in over your head. And a lot of times too, after you've done that type of spending or you've been on that type of vacation, you really don't even remember what you spent the money on. Like, you have no idea. And this next one's great. It encapsulates that exactly.
We're in a really bad financial position.
In total, how many vacations you take a year?
3.
Okay, round up.
Last year we
3
took about 10.
vacations.
It's my math, exactly. I say take whatever it is and triple it. However much you say you eat
Right.
out, triple it.
Right.
However much you say you take vacation,
Right.
triple it. It
Yeah.
never fails. Everybody make a note. Ramit's rule number 318, vacations. Whatever you say you spend, triple it. How do you pay for all this stuff when you go to the Bahamas?
Well, the flight, I usually use miles. And then the hotel, I'll get like through my job, they have like discounts. I'll pay that on the debit card. But when we get there, it's like a free for all. Like, I'll just use a credit card. And we have a lot of credit card
Then
debt.
just use the credit cards.
Banks and credit cards love you too.
So she says they're in just like a mountain of debt. And okay, how many vacations did you go on last year? She says 3. And boom, the husband's right there to check her. No, it was 10. Just like way over what she might have thought. Yeah, so like Ramit, the host, said there, take what you thought and times it by 3. And guess what? 9's a lot closer to 10 than 3. So yeah, they spent like crazy. She said they were throwing it on credit cards for the most part, but she did have some sort of plan for at least paying for the flights and then the hotel. Like, she was using miles for the flights and then points for the hotel stays. And she said she gets a discount through her job. So, I mean, that type of planning's great. But then it sucks if you do that good planning in the beginning and then you just have no self-control once you get over there. But then you're just swiping the credit card, just swipe, 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 doing whatever you want. No control. But hey, like I said, at least she planned the beginning for the flight and the hotel to save some sort of money. But wait, I wanted to cover a comment from the last video, the underconsumption video, because I saw this one and I did resonate with it. So this came from Cooper's Creations, and it says, as a crafter cosplayer, I find it difficult to underconsume. Sewing is my #1 hobby. I have gone to thrift stores, used curtains, tablecloths to make clothes, but sometimes you have to have something specific that you want to make. You need the right color, fabric type, pattern, and you can't find that stuff secondhand without waiting for months or years. Not to mention with the big chains like Joann's closing, which that's a fact, that's gonna be crazy when Joann's gone. It's going to make buying things locally even harder. I try to remember that spending money is good for the economy, but if I spend the money and take the time to make it myself, I'm gonna like the end product probably more than if I would have bought it at a store. Yeah, totally agree with her there, and it's true. My wife does a lot of cosplay and she loves making outfits. She makes her own jewelry for part of her business. And she does say that that's a big problem. You know, if you need one specific type of material or one specific type of piece of acrylic, and you can't just get a little bit. Sometimes you gotta kind of get, you know, a full sheet of acrylic or a few sheets of that. When you go to places like Joann or even online, you gotta buy fabric by like the yard. So yeah, if you are trying to be like an underconsumer, that can be pretty difficult. And for the acrylic that my wife uses, she tends to hold on to it and try to use it for what other sort of like random things he can that can be cut out and be used on that acrylic. So she does a really great job trying to use all the materials that she gets. She's awesome like that. So thanks Cooper Creations for the comment, I really appreciated it. And if you're enjoying this video, hit that free like button, it really helps the channel. Subscribe so you can stay informed, and then drop me a comment and I might feature it in one of the next videos. Are you doing any vacations this year? And have you saved for them? Or are you gonna go into debt? Hopefully you've been saving. Let me know. Now, back to the video. So yeah, what if you got no plan? You're just gonna wing it. You're gonna wing the vacation, you're gonna go over to a foreign country, you're gonna do whatever you want, and then you start thinking about your retirement and things like that too. I'll just figure it out somehow.
To Dubai for my birthday, and they lost.
Like right now? Like this year?
Yeah, I go every year to go jump out of airplanes. Now, let me finish. So, I had no intention of using it at all. The airline lost me and my son back. We didn't have our bags for the whole week and 2 weeks afterwards. So I used this one to get clothes and stuff, and they said that they were going to reimburse me. Yep, well, look what happened. They didn't. So now I'm paying it back.
But how are we going to Dubai regardless? Regardless of that situation, that doesn't make sense. You're in so much debt.
Because I plan it.
You want to retire in 5 years. Go on the vacations, and when you retire, I don't know. You're one of those people that has a goal that requires sacrifice and refuses to make any of the sacrifices. It looks like. What is your retirement account at today?
My investment?
Yes.
I don't know because I haven't looked at it. I just started this new job, so I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you.
Doesn't even know.
I don't.
How do you plan to retire in 5 years? How do you plan to have an income?
I plan on paying my bills off, and that's it.
Yeah, you need money in retirement.
I know that. By the time 5 years, I will have money in retirement.
How much?
I don't know. I have to look. Like,
this isn't a plan.
Well, no, it's not.
You don't have a number?
Well,
I know my number.
Well, I'm sure you do. But, I mean, like
What's your number that you need to hit?
To retire?
Yes.
I don't know yet.
What are you trying to...
Because I plan on living on an island, and that's it.
I do remember that episode, and yeah, there was no plan there at all. She mentioned wanting to live on an island, and I remember she was saying that was her goal. She was going to live a very frugal lifestyle, she was going to retire early, and she wasn't going to need a lot of money. But depending upon your situation, even if you're living over in like a foreign country, you know, just living on an island, you still have to pay taxes back to the US. There's different sorts of stipulations on using your retirement accounts when you're in other countries like that. And yeah, going to a place like Dubai, I mean, all the influencers and people on like TikTok and Instagram, they flaunt Dubai for like a reason. Because it's pretty much, oh, look how much money I have. I can go to this incredibly wealthy city. I can do all this stuff, like her jumping out of airplanes. So she's going to one of like the most expensive cities on the planet to go do skydiving. And like skydiving's not cheap either. And yeah, how much do you have in your investment accounts? I don't know. How do you plan on saving the money? I don't know. Look at all the debt you're in. I'll pay it down somehow. How much do you need to retire? I don't know. How are you gonna get to retirement? Oh, I'm just gonna happen to come up with the money in the next 5 years. There was just absolutely no plan there, like at all. So maybe she's doing better, but I think when she starts to really review her finances and take a look at, you know, how much she's gonna need to retire, she's gonna be in for an incredibly rude awakening, especially with the cost of everything going up everywhere. And you can make no guarantee to yourself that just because you're gonna live in like a foreign country or go live in the islands or something like that, that you're gonna be able to like have enough money just to spend and live an easy lifestyle. Don't try to bank on that guarantee. A lot can change in 5 years. So is it possible? I mean, can you go on vacation if you are in a bunch of debt? Yeah, some people say so. Like here, she says you just gotta have a plan.
I paid off $60,000 of debt while I was planning a wedding and paying for one, while I was taking trips. I think I took 4 or 5 vacations while I was paying off my debt, while I was stopping at Starbucks occasionally to get a coffee. So what I want to offer you is this. Just because you have a goal to pay off debt does not mean you have to restrict yourself and give up all of the things that you love. I have a client right now that's on a 2-year plan to pay off her debt, and she was able to pay for Christmas without using her credit cards, and she just took an 8-day trip to New York City where she wasn't worried about work, she wasn't answering emails, and she didn't feel guilty about it because we had the money in a vacations savings fund. All this to say is just because you have a goal to pay off debt does not mean you have to restrict yourself and feel guilty or bad anytime you put money towards anything that's not debt related. The best and fastest way to actually pay off your debt is to do it in a way that feels good, in a way that feels in your control.
Yeah, so you just gotta have a plan. But really, I don't know if that works for everybody. And I really wish she would have focused on driving there because she was like constantly looking down while she was like on the highway and like turning and everything like that. So that was kind of a retarded move, maybe just film it when you stop. But as she was saying, she has a client who was able to take a bunch of trips, trying to get out of debt within 2 years, was still able to do all these things that she enjoyed. And she was trying to say that was pretty much her scenario to begin with as well. She was $60,000 in debt. still going to Starbucks, still taking vacations, was planning a wedding. She didn't say if she had paid for the wedding or maybe the other family had. But regardless, she was saying she's doing all this stuff and she's still making a dent in that debt, which I hope that's true. I mean, you could be pretty frugal, save a lot, and still be able to do some things while paying down that debt. But also, she did mention having a vacation fund. So whether that be a separate account or they're putting off cash to the side and, just kind of holding on to it. Didn't say exactly, but me and my wife, we started doing the same thing probably about 2 years ago. Not because we had like an issue saving, but because we wanted to kind of see it in a separate category. So we just asked our bank, hey, can you just make a new account and we can just transfer some money into it whenever we want. And I know that there were some banks and credit unions which would let you do that as, the user just going in online, and you could create a separate category and just move money to it. But even if not, you could go into your branch or probably even call and talk to a banker over the phone and get them to open you up a new account and probably just set up a little reoccurring transfer or just move in money whenever you want to. And we literally just called it like vacation account. So it's like checking, savings, vacation. And I don't remember exactly how much we set up, but I think it was like $50 a week or something like that. And yeah, it does grow pretty fast. And even if it doesn't take care of like the whole vacation, you can look at that and say, oh, well, there's a pretty big chunk in there that can at least knock out like 2 plane tickets. But unfortunately for us, we always want to go over to Japan. And so those tickets are just so expensive. So having some sort of plan, even if it's a small one, just like having a vacation account that you just throw a few bucks in, or if you can do a little bit more each week, each month, that's better than nothing. Definitely don't want to be taking out credit cards just for the vacation, or taking out like a personal loan or something like that. Like, right here, taking out a payday loan to go on a Caribbean vacation and then finding out that the interest rate is 795%. That is insane. That $1,100 payday loan turning into like $5,800. Like seriously, I really, really hope that's a joke. But what's your other option? You're going into debt to go on a vacation, or you're already in debt and you're getting ready to go on another vacation, or you can just not go on the vacation and make the sacrifice. Bruh. So to wrap it up, here's a little hard advice from our favorite financial dad, Mr. Ramsey.
You're not going on vacation. You're in debt. You're broke. You're not going out to eat. You're in debt. You're broke. You work all the time. You're in debt. You're broke. There's a great place to go when you're broke, to work. Okay? This is what you do. And you bust your butt. And it's scorched earth. No lifestyle. No nothing. You sell so much stuff the kids think they're next. You name the dog eBay and the cat Craigslist. Everything's going out the door. We're getting this mess cleaned up. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. People that do it with that intensity get out of debt in an average of about 18 to 24 months.
Yeah, the hard truth. Maybe you just don't need to go on that vacation. And like we said before in other videos, I would really think that your family, your friends would understand if you told them and explained to them the situation you're in. And even if they don't let them pressure you into going into debt or greater debt for a vacation. In my opinion, it is not worth it. Yeah, work your ass off, get the debt under control, start formulating some sort of plan, some sort of budget so you don't find yourself back in that situation. And then those vacations will be so much better. You won't be worrying about this debt cloud that's just chasing you, following you around while you're on vacation, and then just getting bigger, bigger, and bigger and just waiting for you as soon as you get back. Recipe for disaster. But that's it for this one. If you enjoyed the content we covered today, be sure to hit that free like button and then subscribe so you can stay informed. And drop me a comment down below. It really helps new channels and I would definitely appreciate it. Plus, YouTube thinks you'll like this video right here, so give it a watch if you have a second. Until then, I've been Dustin Prime, you've been you, and people, remember, do you really need to go into debt for that vacation or add on to the debt you already have? Could you skip this one or maybe put it off for a little while? Get your debt under control, save up a little bit more money? I think it's the better choice, so be smart with your decisions. See ya.